everyone, it's Mina Marzano at Medicare Insiders. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be talking about how to improve your virtual sales, so stay tuned for more. So a couple years ago, COVID happened and a lot of our business moved to the virtual space. And a couple years later, we still find ourselves very much in a virtual space when it comes to setting appointments and doing enrollments. So this video is intended for all of you agents out there who are doing either a portion of your appointments online or the majority of your appointments online, primarily using video conferencing. These are some tips that are going to help you to make the most out of those interactions that you're having with your clients. Make sure that you look professional and make sure that you have your ducks in a row prior to those appointments. So we know that virtual sales do have a little bit more of a challenge component to them than the face-to-face. There are some things that can be a little bit more difficult to communicate virtually than face-to-face. Even if you're on video, it can still be a little bit of a divide there between you and the client, whereas maybe face-to-face it's easier for someone to let their guard down or build that rapport and that trust. So we do have to be a little bit proactive when we're thinking about having these video calls to make them as good as we can possibly make them. And not only that, but to give off the best impression that we can, especially if these are people we're talking to maybe for the first time. So I'm going to start off with some practical tips and then we'll go from there. I have 10 altogether. The very first one is make sure that you have good lighting where you are. So if you're working from home and maybe you have an office space, make sure that you open up a window if you don't have a whole lot of light in that room. If you don't have a window, I recommend going and buying an extra light. There's some ring lights that are sold specifically for that kind of purpose that you can get for super cheap online, on Amazon, different websites that you can search and get a light for 20, 30 bucks. It's not a huge investment and it makes a huge difference on video. I don't know if you guys have ever been on a video with someone who had a really dim screen or maybe a really dark background and you couldn't really see their features. It looks kind of weird and you might get away with that maybe if you're talking with your friends, but your clients probably are expecting a little bit more from you, a little bit more professionalism on that front. So I would recommend investing into a light if you know that the space that you're in is kind of dark. Second tip is to have a good camera. So a lot of laptops and the different devices that we utilize nowadays, like iPads and tablets, do already have cameras built into them. A lot of devices do have a good quality camera already built into them. If your device does, there's no need to get another camera. But if your device's camera is not good, I would definitely recommend investing into a camera. And it doesn't have to be super expensive, obviously. Just something that gets the job done where you can see clearly, there isn't a lot of pixelation, and your client is not, thinking that they're looking through a video of, 1960s or something. Headset with a microphone, right? So all of these things, maybe they're things that you haven't considered. Maybe they're things that you have considered and maybe your device covers all these well. And that's fine. If you have a device that you're utilizing and it has a great microphone and it has a great camera, that's good. But there are a lot of people who are hosting video calls and their sound is really bad. And the best way to remedy that is probably to get a headset with a microphone. So if the built-in microphone and speaker on your device are not up to par, definitely want to invest in a headset and a microphone. This is probably one of the biggest ones, because even more important than our client seeing us is going to be our client hearing what we're saying. So if they can't hear us well, that is a huge barrier that we need to make sure that we remedy as soon as possible. And then any technology that you're going to be utilizing, I would go ahead and choose one that's your go-to, and I think most agents do, maybe Zoom or WebEx, and there's a lot of other ones out there. Something that you find that is easily accessible, easy to use, easy for your clients to use as well. Make sure that you know the ins and out of that technology, that it's up to date, that you're not going to have issues with it when you get on a call. I would recommend logging in and making sure that everything is running smoothly, you know, at least 20 minutes before each appointment, to make sure that you're not having technological issues. Those are kind of some of the things that might not turn your client off 100% in that moment, but those are some things that if we can prevent, it really means a lot, because we don't want to be taking up our clients' time trying to resolve technological problems that we really should have been on top of before that counts as part of our professionalism and our credibility. The next tip is going to be smiling as soon as you answer that call. So this is going to be big for setting the tone, setting the energy of that call. We've talked about how it can get kind of lost in translation when you're in a virtual space. So we want to make sure that we are kind of almost a little bit over the top with our positivity on a call. Just because maybe we are having high energy, maybe we are being positive, but it might not communicate that same way across the screen. So we want to make sure that we do have that high energy, that we're smiling, that we look happy, that we look, you know, excited to help this person to resolve their concerns, whatever those might be. And along with that, I would say dress professionally. So this doesn't mean that you have to, you know, put on a whole suit and, you know, always wear a button down, or, you know, things are a lot more casual these days than they were a couple of years ago, and that's okay. But we still want to keep in mind that we are having a professional business interaction with the client. With that, I would just say use your better judgment. You know who you're talking to, or you don't know who you're talking to. If it's someone that you know, you might feel a little bit more comfortable wearing something, versus if it's your very first meeting with someone, maybe you might want to look a little bit more button up. So that's the end of my fashion advice for today. Make sure that you have that high energy. I mentioned that already, right? Warm up the conversation with a few minutes of conversation. So building that rapport again, like I said, it can be a little bit more challenging virtually. So we want to make sure that we use that as well to set the tone, right? We're smiling, we look nice, we have our nice lighting, our good camera, our good sound, and now we want to start off the conversation and kind of set the tone for the rest of that appointment. So hand in hand with that, be ready to lead that conversation. And here's one that I think is really important, is even when you're doing those virtual sales, make sure that you have something that you're going off of. Okay, this is what we're going to do on this call. We're going to do a plan review, we're going to do a needs analysis, we're going to do a quote comparison, and we're going to do an enrollment. This is the plan for this call. And I would go ahead and map that call out for the client once you get them on the phone, right? Because a lot of times they're jumping on a call with you, they have no idea what to expect. So once they get on the call and you let them know this is what you can expect from this call, then they know they're following along with you as you're going through those processes. And that's not just for the client, but also for us as the agent. I know from experience, I've hopped on a call with someone that's ready to do an appointment or ready to do an enrollment. They want to get on a plan, and I get on the call and I'm like, okay, what now? What do I do now? So make sure that you know exactly what you're going to do as soon as you get on that call with them, and map that out for them. It really is going to show your professionalism, your leadership abilities, and it's going to go a long way in the face of your client. So the last two tips I have are active listening and asking questions. This is always going to be important in any kind of appointment with any client, any consultation. Active listening and asking questions, they go hand in hand. So make sure that you're listening to what they're saying, asking questions to bounce off of what they're saying, right? If they say something and it doesn't come through clearly on your sound, you know, you always have issues like this with technology. Sometimes it lags, sometimes it freezes up. Don't just roll right through it because you didn't hear it. Ask them to clarify, and also give them that option up front, right? Letting them know If anything goes wrong on this call, if I freeze or if my sound doesn't come through, feel free to pause and I can go back and re-explain and revisit anything that you may have missed. That way there is continuity to that conversation from start to finish. And those are my 10 tips for making the most out of your virtual sales. If you guys can think of anything else that would be helpful, definitely leave a comment below. Any questions, leave them below. Like, comment, share, subscribe.